Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Welcome to Inside Scoop, Virginia. We are in the holiday season, and as we usually do this time of the year, I am bringing to you nonprofit information because everybody's got money they're looking to donate, get your tax deductions for the end of the year, and I've got some fabulous nonprofits that we're going to talk about tonight. And the first one is called Devotion to Children, and we have with us Rosemary Tran Lauer. She founded Devotion to Children in 1994 and is its president. She is a commercial realtor with Long & Foster, and since 2002 she has been one of their top producers. Prior to her real estate career, Rosemary owned and operated 3 different beauty salons, and she is the author of a book called Beggars or Angels. Now, not only am I thrilled to have her here, but she has received numerous accolades this year. She was awarded the Good Neighbor Award by the National Association of Realtors and the Nonprofit Leadership Award from Leadership Fairfax. She was also named one of Virginia's most influential women by the Virginia Lawyers Media. And then the Devotion to Children has also been recognized. In 2012, they were recognized as the Small Nonprofit of the Year by the Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce. And in 2011, Devotion to Children received the Public Service Award from the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. Aside from her work for Devotion to Children, Rosemary also serves on the board of the Northern Virginia Family Services, the Jade Philanthropy Society, and is on the board of advisors for United Bank and the Vietnamese Realtor Forum. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight, Rosemary, and taking time out from an incredibly busy schedule.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight to share my story and my mission, why Devotion to Children is so important to me.
Well, let's start with that. Why did you found Devotion to Children?
Well, I came here in 1975 after the Vietnam War by accident. And because of without the English language and no money, no family to support, on top of it, with 2 children. One is only 3 years old, one is 6 months old. And I worked 3 different jobs to support my kid. I was a waitress, $1.69 per hour, and my boss used to steal my money, my tip money, and I didn't even know. I don't know any better. And then I worked for factory, trying to make enough money. It's not even enough, so I worked for another place that is underground casino, but I didn't know underground mean illegal. I thought underground mean the basement of a Chinese restaurant. Because, in Vietnam we don't have a basement. Mm-hmm. So, even working 3 jobs like that, I still cannot make enough money because I don't see my children. And without enough money, I cannot pay the babysitter. And childcare for me at that time is whoever offered to take care of my kid. I don't know the quality or not quality. It's just somebody take care of your kid so you can work. Okay. But after 6 months like that, I couldn't take it because, your body, your energy, and I don't see the kid. So we fell into the welfare system. And I was on welfare for about 3 years or 4 years. So I can learn the trade, go back to school, and get a better job, better money. So I never forget that. I never forget that struggle. It's never easy to leave your kid with somebody else and don't know if they take care of your children or not. But if you don't work, you can never break the cycle of poverty.
Sure.
So
what is the Devotion to Children's mission? You set that up. What is its mission to do?
Devotion to Children mission is to break the cycle of poverty by providing access to high quality child care and education program for children under 6.
Okay.
Because of my personal experience with children under 6.
Now, so quality childcare, early childhood education, that's a huge problem facing a lot of people in Northern Virginia. You read about it all the time. So what does Devotion to Children do to try and improve that situation?
We raise money and we pay for childcare so the parent can work. Because childcare in Virginia costs between $14,000 to $18,000 per child. And the waiting list for a 2 years old for subsidized is like 2 years for a 2 years old. It's unbelievable. And we have 3,000 kids on waiting list.
Well, by the time you get to the top of the waiting list, you're going to school. That hardly seems like a useful proposition there.
Exactly. And you know, if you really think about it, a lot of families leave the children with unsupervised childcare provider, and you see on the news all kind of problem, and some kid didn't even make it.
Right.
You know, so it's just the issue that is huge.
Yeah, it is huge. So how do you say you pay for some of this, you do education on it, so how do you raise your money?
We have 3 events per year to raise the money. In the spring, we have a 4-mile run, Mother's Day 4-mile run. So we growth about 40% a year since we start. And then at the September, we have a car for kids. So we have a poker tournament that people would come.
A poker tournament?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So people come because you know, a lot more guys, some women enjoy playing poker and help the cause. So we raise money on that. And the biggest event we raise is the Red Hot and Soul Gala, and we do it in November.
Okay.
You know, like normally, like the second week of November.
Okay.
And that the most money were raised on that event.
Okay, so you just had that event then?
Yes.
How did that go?
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you. We have one of the mother who we helped last year, and her situation is really, really heartbreaking because, you know, she got married, thinks that she will live happily ever. But then something is went wrong, so her daughter is only 3 years old, and she left and take care of her kids, so she was behind her childcare because she worked full time. And they want to kick the kid out, so we able to come in and help her to catch up with the childcare so she can continue to work. So we have the video, and everybody is crying because they realize it's the real face, and the people who work in their office, sometimes they just don't know the situation.
So does Devotion to Children deal with those kinds of crises? Is that typically what you do, where somebody has gotten into a real situation where they need help immediately to catch up with child care payments or other ways of trying to get child care?
We work with different child care centers because we only pay for the child care. So we pay to the centers. The parent don't get the money.
Okay.
So the way we do it, we partner with 5 different child care centers, and we do have an emergency fund because with the job crisis, some people lost their job. If they on subsidy already, we pay the subsidy. If you think about it, some people, if they make $30,000 a year, they cannot pay $14,000 for childcare. It's impossible.
Right.
So they get some subsidy from the government. But even with the government subsidy, they still have to pay some. And some, for some of us, it's just a drink, a bottle of wine. But for other family, it's the whole week of milk or diaper. So we come in and we help. And if those parents, because they lost their job, they lost the spot in the child care center, and they cannot go back because it's another 2 years. By the time, you know, they get the job, then they don't have somebody to take care of their kid. Right. It's a very complex issue here. So we come in and we provide the emergency fund. So if somebody who have that kind of problem, they can draw into our money so they don't lose their spot and they can continue to look for a job. And then we pay for certain family if they really need the money, but they in between the gap, that the poverty level. Or we have one situation, it's break my heart. The mother get a promotion, but if she take the promotion, she lost her childcare subsidy, so she have to refuse the promotion. The situation is just beyond belief.
Well, that really limits your financial ability to become financially independent if the child care cost, the subsidy for that is what keeps you from actually taking promotions. That's sort of working the wrong way. That's not good.
The system has to change, has to improve to help the women, because most of the time women are the provider.
Right.
And if the woman is poor and financially dependent, what choice? Welfare or work? So, we want people to get out of welfare system. We have to help them to work. But if they work just enough to pay for the childcare, it didn't make sense.
True. Absolutely not. So you are doing this to help just disadvantaged families, or is it a broader community that you help?
At the moment, we only have so much money, so we concentrate on disadvantaged family.
Okay.
But our goal, I am the advocate for childcare for all children, quality childcare for all children, because children are the future of our world, and if we don't provide the good childcare service for the children, then the future is bleak. And if we build childcare is better, then we have to build prison later, because if we take care of the children, it's much better for the society.
Well, absolutely, because healthier children, more educated children, you're right. You can either take care of them at the front end, or you end up taking care of them in prisons and jails at the back end. So it is that trade-off, and it makes more sense. Now, you are 100% volunteers, so where do you get your volunteers from?
Well, we are 100% volunteers, so I try to recruit friends, family, children, everybody who I can talk to. So, if anybody who can help us, we need a lot of help. And I even have to write a book to raise the money for the organization. So if anyone would like to know more, the book,
Beggars or Angels?
Beggar or Angel, you learn more about us.
Okay, and it's devotiontochildren.org. So thank you very much, Rosemary. I'm so glad you were able to come today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo.
I would like to speak English better.
Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
With each other.
Welcome to Inside Scoop, Virginia.
Questions?
We are talking with nonprofits this evening because it is the end of the year, time for your charitable giving, and all of the nonprofits are incredibly worthy of your attention and consideration. So we are now going to be talking with Our Daily Bread. We have Lisa Wetzel. She is the executive director of Our Daily Bread and a resident of Fairfax City. They're very proud of being residents of Fairfax City, I notice. Ms. Wetzel has more than a decade of nonprofit leadership and management experience. She's a proven record of success in that area. Under her leadership, Our Daily Bread has created impactful programs to increase the number of their clients that are achieving self-sufficiency. And we also have Dawn Sykes. She is the Holiday Program Manager. And this is her second year managing the holiday program for Our Daily Bread. She is a military spouse. She has volunteered all over the country in many capacities, so we're very pleased that she is able to help out Our Daily Bread. Prior to being hired at Our Daily Bread, she was a committed volunteer at the Fairfax County Department of Aging with Meals on Wheels. So, welcome both of you tonight to the show. I appreciate you both coming. I know you're very busy at this time of year.
Busy time. Yes, thanks for having us.
Our Daily Bread provides emergency services and comprehensive case management. I read that someplace. What does that mean?
Right. Well, so what we do is we provide emergency food assistance, financial assistance to low to moderate income families that live in the Fairfax County area, and to help them avoid homelessness. So we'll help pay somebody's rent, we'll help them pay their utility bill, so that they don't get evicted or they don't get their electricity cut off in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer. And we also have a program where we are providing comprehensive case management, and our one-on-one programs are our most effective programs. They empower clients to help them set goals, achieve those goals, and we focus the goals on financial literacy or personal finance, and then also life skills, which include workforce development. So our Project Bridge program will work with a client for over a year and help them to achieve their financial goals and their personal goals, and at the end of that year to be in a position where they are more financially stable for long term, and they also are in a better position to get a better paying job.
Okay, so Our Daily Bread, because I always think of Our Daily Bread as food. You're much more than food, right?
We are much more than food.
More.
So we provide about 1,000 families a year with with services across the board, not including the holiday program. But the majority of the clients that we are serving is through our financial literacy program. We work with nonprofits all over the county to provide classes. We also have a one-on-one financial counseling clinic down in the Route 1 area with United Community Ministries, and so I won't go into all that detail, but and we have our financial mentoring program.
Okay, so do you have a physical location? You talked about working down in South County. Are you all over the county, or where are you located?
We're located in the Fairfax County Courthouse Complex. So we're in Fairfax City, but we serve clients all over Fairfax County.
So these classes and these mentorships, do they come to the courthouse complex,
No,
or it's locally based?
What we do is we empower the community. We have volunteers that will collect, sort, and deliver food to families all over the county. We have volunteers that are trained that will go to other nonprofits to deliver classes to their clients. So it's a great partnership, and that we are able to provide that service to those nonprofits.
Now, do you get your clients referred to you from Fairfax County or from churches? How does somebody get into your programs?
Do you want to go ahead?
Well, most of our clients come from coordinated services planning or some type of social service agency within the county. For the holiday program, most of our referrals come from Fairfax County Public Schools because we kind of gear that program towards students on free and reduced lunch, but we also take referrals from other nonprofit organizations and things like that. So the holiday program is run, we have the contract with the county to run the program to service all the families who are looking for holiday assistance. So those referrals come in from all over.
Well, you know, there is, if you look at the economic data, at least they tell me this, there's this slowly but steadily recovering economy. So is your caseload going down?
No, it's not. And I think that the reason that it's not going down is because the trend is that we've seen through the Center for Regional Analysis at George Mason. They've done a study where it shows the job growth across sectors, and from 2008 to 2014, the largest sector of job growth is the low wage jobs. And so those are our clients. You know, they're the ones that are making minimum wage to $22,000 a year. $22,000 a year, and it's just hard to make ends meet.
Well, in Fairfax County, you can't make ends meet on $22,000
right.
a year.
It's practically impossible, and you know, it's really hard for our financial mentors to see families that, you know, they create a budget, and no matter what they do, they're never going to be able to make ends meet. And often, you know, if their transmission goes out, it's a $1,200 payment, or is it the $1,200 rent that they have to pay? So it puts them in a very precarious situation. So that I think that the data that we have seen shows that the trend is going to continue, and the fact that there is not enough affordable housing in our area. And this same study came out with saying that we need to be building at least 500,000 new units to accommodate these low-wage workers. 44% of those need to be affordable housing rates, which would be $1,200 per month for rent. And right now, that's hard to find.
Yeah. And it's hard to figure out where we're going to build something of that quantity at that price in Fairfax County.
Right.
That's very,
we've got to get
tough.
creative.
Well, you've mentioned the holiday program, and I know that you run it, so tell us about it.
Well, the holiday program, Our Daily Bread has been running the holiday program
7 years.
7 years, oh wow. I've only been there, this is my second season, so 7 years is like, whoa. But what we do, we have a contract with the county to run this program. So all the social services agencies and departments will send their referrals into Our Daily Bread, and we are contracted to serve 3,000 families. And what we do, we partner with 16 other nonprofits that will either take families from our list, from the database, or they will share information to see if we're cross-checking or if we're serving some of the same clients, because there's a lot of organizations out there that are doing holiday assistance. And what we do, we take all those families and we match them up with a community-based organization, a corporation, or individual sponsor. So we're kind of like the
clearinghouse.
The clearinghouse.
Matchmaker.
Matchmaker type thing, yes, we do. So we match families up with individual sponsors. If someone wants to sponsor a family and go out and purchase the holiday meal and purchase gifts, we have sponsors do that. Or if we have virtual sponsors who want to help out, but they just can't go out and don't have the time to go out and shop for the family, they will send money into Our Daily Bread, and we'll gladly take those dollars and turn them into gift cards and send them out to the family so the family can have that independence to shop and still be a part of the holidays like everyone else in the community.
Now, if you're in the local community and you want to be a sponsor of a family, do you meet the family, or do you get a list that says, here's the family and they've got girls between 2 and 4 years old, or size this or that, and you just shop and...
Where if you want to sponsor the family, there's a referring agent. There's a social worker who's been in contact with that family, and they put that information into our database. And we'll take that family, if they say it's a family of 4, maybe 2 children, 2 adults, and there's someone out there in the community who wants to service a family in their particular area, 2 kids and 2 adults. We will send them that information. They can contact the family, get to know the family, meet the family, and discuss on how they will, meet to do the assistance. A lot of people like the hands-on to meet the family and see the smiles and get the warm, fuzzy feeling of helping the family out.
And using it as a learning experience too for their own children, to see how there is there are people that are living without in their community.
And a lot of times when people sponsor someone, say if you live in the Alexandria area and say I want to sponsor someone in my area, a lot of times they're looking at their neighbors, someone who's maybe working in the grocery store where they shop, or where they go to the library. It could be someone in there. So it's people in your community that you're helping that on a daily basis you would not know that needed assistance. And during the holidays, if you think about what Lisa just talked about, having problems making ends meet, when the holidays, that extra meal, that holiday meal, that turkey, that ham, or all those fixings, that's not put into the budget of everyday meals.
Right. So you can sponsor, you can be a virtual sponsor. How else can people participate in the program?
And you can donate cash, to Our Daily Bread.
Oh, you'll still take cash?
We do.
We'll take cash.
Our ideal is to get every family sponsored by a donor in the community. But for those families that are referred to us that are not adopted or sponsored, then we pool all the donations that we receive over the fall and purchase gift cards. And we purchase those at a good discount that we get through the food grocery stores, and then distribute those to the clients.
Okay. And then you have some event coming up in a day or two. Tomorrow? Next
Distributing.
day? You've got something called Wine in Wonderment, I read about?
Right.
What is that? Anytime it says wine, I want to know.
Well, at 2941, we are hosting a wine tasting event. And so 100% of the proceeds of the event will go towards families in the holiday program. So Our Daily Bread Board of Directors has sponsored the event, and so it should be great. We're almost sold out, so there's a few tickets left that people can purchase, but it's a really nice time. And if you haven't been to 2941 restaurant, we're in the Waterfall Room. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So people can contribute, particularly during the holiday seasons, but how can they participate in your work throughout the year?
There's lots of ways that people can participate. So if they have office skills, we love our office volunteers. So we've had volunteers that have been with us for years, and we really appreciate what they can bring. And then we have people can learn to be financial mentors, and or they can teach a class if they're comfortable already presenting. They can learn to teach a class. And then we also have other events. We just finished our Complete the Circle event. We had many people in the community do food drives, bring it to that event, and so there's lots of different ways. People can go onto our website, and we have a current web page that's dedicated to urgent needs for volunteers.
Okay, so why don't you give us your website?
It's www.odbfairfax.org.
Okay, ODB, Our Daily Bread, Fairfax.org is the number. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming tonight and taking the time out. I know this is an incredibly busy
she's the tired one.
But we appreciate it, and we hope that you have every success this holiday season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
I helped turn my child's public school into a whole new kind of school. One with a curriculum that really motivates kids. One that has extended hours, 6 days a week, year-round. With loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One that has support services like medical and dental right there. A school where parents' involvement is encouraged. Where teachers have more time to teach. And students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. You can help turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
It's coming. Right to your neighborhood. And when it does, you may be surprised. It's your Social Security statement of your benefits, and it's going to help you plan your financial future. Your benefit statement will tell you how much Social Security you're eligible to receive and when you'll get it. Then you'll know how much you need to save for retirement, because that's coming too. The future is in your hands. Choose to save.
The toxic fumes from this meth lab are seeping into Jamie's sinus cavity. A Ammonia vapors invade her throat. Toxic gases fill her lungs. Jamie's body is deteriorating. And she doesn't even know it.
Jamie, dinner.
So, who has the drug problem now? Find out how meth affects you at drugfree.org/.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
This is Inside Scoop Virginia. I'm Bettina Lawton, and I'm your host. And it's that time of year again when people start feeling more charitable. We look to say, who can I give my money to because I want my tax deduction? And I have some fabulous nonprofits to introduce to you. And tonight we have with us now Fairfax Breast Health Network. It is a new nonprofit. It was just formed last year, and I have with us Catherine Kit McNamara. She is a breast cancer survivor. She is the president of the Fairfax Breast Health Network, and Kit's professional experience includes working at major defense contractors and teaching elementary schools and facilitating the Southern California chapter of CHAD, which is a nonprofit organization for children and adults with attention deficit disorder. She is a graduate of the University of New Mexico. She has a graduate degree in business and school counseling from the California State University. And with her is Laura Waits, who is a board member for the Fairfax Breast Health Network. And she is the owner of Wear Hair for You LLC, and those of you who are longtime viewers will know that Laura was on before to talk about her business. Laura's business specializes in medical hair loss, and over 90% of her clients are cancer survivors. So Laura is also a certified hair wig specialist. So thank you both for taking time out of your schedules to come and talk to me about this.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate you giving us the time to talk about our new organization.
It is new, and I wanted to know, how did this get all formed? What caused this?
Well, we're associated with Reston Hospital, and several of the medical professionals and breast cancer survivors decided well over 2 years ago that this was a need. There was a need in Fairfax County to help breast cancer survivors and their families. And our organization solely services Fairfax County people.
Okay.
And so that started a process to find board members. And I am a breast cancer survivor of 6 years, and I happen to know one of the ladies, and she said, Kit, would you be on the board? And I jumped at the chance. I mean, I really I wanted to give back to the community. Breast cancer is obviously close to my heart, and I just wanted other people to have a different journey than I did. My journey was not as pleasant as it could have been, and I don't want anyone else to have the challenges that I had. So it's an opportunity for me to help. And Laura is on the board and contributes a lot, and she has her own story about getting involved.
Yes, it's an honor to be involved and to be able to support these services to women that are going through that transition of cancer. In my business, I work with a lot of women that have just been diagnosed that will be losing their hair. So I supply hair wigs to women that want to look in the mirror and pretty much feel like themselves.
Yeah.
I like this organization very much because we're going to be supporting a lot of women that are maybe having some financial hardships as they go through this, and of course due to chemo and different medical treatments may not be able to show up to work and need assistance with food, gas cards, transportation, things of that nature. So it really is an honor to be able to serve, to help support these women and help them, make it through.
Well, Reston Hospital Center, I don't know a lot about it. I know Fairfax, I know Fair Oaks. Do they do a lot of breast cancer surgeries and treatments up at
They've
Reston?
recently opened up a breast cancer center.
Oh, all right.
It's fairly recent. That I didn't have my surgery there, but I've transferred all my doctors and all my oncologists are there, and so it's become a very good place to go for breast cancer patients. And we have a breast cancer navigator, and she is amazing. She works with all the breast cancer patients and answers questions and helps guide them through this very tedious and emotional process.
Okay. So what's the actual mission of it? You say you don't want people to have to go through the same process you went through, that it was not optimal. So what's the actual mission of the network?
Well, from my perspective, it's to help people it's some peer-to-peer relationships to help them deal with the emotions, give them information, to help them if they need wigs or prosthesis, to help them, to guide them to where they can go for those. It's to give them financial support, as Laura just mentioned, some financial support for people who may not be able to pay their bills, or they may need a food card, or maybe they'll need transportation to have their chemotherapy. So the mission is all-inclusive of a variety of activities. And it's also to help them learn about the other groups, such as Life with Breast Cancer, Life with Cancer, or the Susan G. Komen. So it gives them a sense of resources, a resource list that they can come to us, and we can provide that information to them as well.
So is this like a one-stop information center, Laura?
It's going to be a place where women can go to gather a lot of information. We have physicians that work with us as well, that they have a network of information, nurses, a lot of different hospital staff, radiologists, different resources of information will be available to the public. So, and it will support all of Fairfax County residents.
Now, we always talk Fairfax County. Does it include Fairfax City, or is it truly just county?
It's Fairfax City.
Okay, so it's both of them.
Yes.
Okay, so who's eligible for the services? So it's Fairfax County, Fairfax City residents.
Correct.
And then, obviously, you have to have some connection with breast cancer. Is it means tested? Can you only come in if you make certain income, if you only have a certain degree of cancer? What's the...
we basically, we want to make it available to all people, but definitely, certainly the financial part would be based on qualification. Right. And that's something that we would definitely take a look at, and we're fundraising money for. So that would be one of the qualifications. Some women may not need the financial as they do the support or where to go to find it. We'll be addressing a multitude of needs at the same time. So that's what's good about having the people that we have in our organization. Everyone has different functions so that we can cover a lot of groundwork.
Okay.
So anybody's is eligible to go to our website. They can come to, we're having a meet and greet this coming Thursday at the Fairfax, near Reston Hospital. And it's on my website, and people are welcome to come to that if they want to get involved in any way, if they want to help, be on the board. So that's right now, that is one of our main goals right now, is to get people to join the organization.
Okay, and that is, because I did write it down, at 1860 Town Center Drive, Suite 400. Now, is that in the hospital complex, or is that
it's across the street from the main hospital?
It's a professional building.
Right.
It's a professional hospital building, yes.
Where a lot of the doctor's offices are. And
okay.
So that's open. That's on the website. If people want to look at the website, and they're welcome to attend. Or no reservations are necessary. They're welcome to just show up.
Okay.
And we are receiving really, really great support from Reston Hospital Center.
Okay.
Very much so. Definitely. And so we're just in the process of trying to do a lot of fundraising. We've had a couple of bake sales through Reston Hospital, and we've gotten our name out there. And so we really appreciate you allowing us to come on and talk about this, and hopefully we'll get people who are in the breast cancer, newly diagnosed or past diagnosed, who would like to support the group or need help.
Well, let's talk about bake sales. When I saw the bake sale thing, I thought, really? Bake sales? You can actually raise enough money with bake sales? And then, of course, I thought, well, who has time to bake? I mean, so that might be actually a great way to do it. Are you planning on keeping that, or can you get grants for this?
Can you believe different departments actually made that contribution? Am I not right? Like the radiology department, dermatology department, I mean, surgery. I mean, that's why I say the Reston Hospital has been such a great supporter. The whole staff, I mean, they all contributed. So we had more cakes and sugar and pies that we knew what to do with.
Sounds fabulous to me.
So we've had it for 2 years, and it is, as Laura said, it is a whole hospital. Everyone bakes, everyone contributes, and so for that. So can you make money? We did for a small group. for 4 hours, we made a nice amount of money.
Excellent.
But we are looking for grants, and we have issued one grant somewhere, and we're looking for private donations. We've had a couple people give us private donations, which we are just so thankful for. So we're getting there.
Well, and you just recently actually got your tax-exempt status, which should help with the contributions.
Absolutely, and we got it. Actually, it was June of this year. It was a very long process, a very long process, but it opens the door for a lot of opportunities for us now. And so we're just starting. We're going to be successful.
And believe it or not, the dedication has been there. We have been meeting for quite some time, even before we received this 501, because we believed in this program. We believed in what we're doing. So I'm really proud of the ladies that continue to show up during our meetings, that continue to support. And now that we have our 501, we can actually start to go after our goals.
Well, how prevalent is it? Because, you know, I keep reading, there's all this great research on breast cancer, and there's all this early detection, and I just heard in the last year or so about stage 0 breast cancer, and I was like, so how much is there still out there? Is this still a big issue for women in this area?
Absolutely. You know, I don't have the data, I don't have the statistics, but just the number of phone calls, the plethora of phone calls that we deal with, and what I hear from Lori, the breast cancer navigator, the number of patients that she is dealing with on a daily basis. Breast cancer is not going away. And there is stage 0, and I was stage 0, fortunately. And I do have to tell everybody, get your mammograms, it saved my life. I just can't tell you, it saved my life. If my doctor had not said, Kit, it's time, you're past due, I was past due by 2 months. And we caught it. And that's not to say that I haven't had a tough journey, but we caught it, and
you're still here.
I'm still
6
here.
years later.
I'm here 6 years later.
And 5 years is the point. That's the usually the 5-year survival rate. You're like really got a high chance.
That's what they say. I have different opinions on that.
Oh, okay.
That's what they say.
And I have to tell you, every time my phone rings, it's a woman that's been diagnosed.
Wow.
So it's still out there, and if any message can come through tonight, is to tell these women to go get your mammograms. If you haven't done it, get it done.
Oh, okay. Well, no, so what kind of challenges in the last minute or so that we have did you face? Because starting up a nonprofit has got to be pretty daunting.
It's been very daunting, and it's getting financial. Well, 501c3 was very daunting, and that took so long, and it's getting people to join the organization. I mean, that has been the biggest challenge, don't you think, Laura?
Yeah, the commitment that is needed, because you definitely, as you well know, Bettina, have to be dedicated, committed, show up, support. I mean, all the things that are needed to get this going, and it is so worthy of it.
Well, as we're getting ready to leave here, tell us what your website is in the last second.
The website is fairfaxbhn.org.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for coming.
Thank you,
just the best of luck in your endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Some dreams are universal. Dreams that inspire us. Multiple sclerosis is a devastating disease that changes lives forever. The National MS Society does more for people with MS than any organization in the world. But we can't do it alone. To get involved, visit us online at nationalmssociety.org. or call 1-800-FIGHT-MS. This is why we're here. Because nobody dreams of having multiple sclerosis.
What's wrong with this picture? Half of young Americans can't locate economic powers like Japan and India. 20% can't even find the Pacific Ocean. Without geography, our children aren't ready for the world. Geography is everywhere. It's incredible creatures, rhythm, fashion, flavor. It's economics and politics. It's change. Understanding connections between people and places is critical in the 21st century. That's why we created mywonderfulworld.org. Go there now for your free parent and teacher action kits and give our kids the power of global knowledge. Because kids who understand our world today can succeed in it tomorrow.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Good evening, I'm Bettina Lawton. I'm your host. This is Inside Scoop Virginia, and we are talking about nonprofits. It's that time of year again when we all should be looking about charitable donations. The seasons are upon us. And of course, if we do it before December 31st, we can get a tax deduction. So we have a fabulous nonprofit called Becky's Fund, and it is involved in domestic violence. And we have with us Peggy Lee. She is an attorney, and she is the founder.
It's Becky Lee.
Becky Lee, a attorney and founder and executive director of Becky's Fund. And Becky received her Bachelor of Arts degree in Women's Studies from the University of Michigan and her law degree from the University of Pittsburgh Law School. And in 2006, she competed on the CBS primetime television show, Survivor Cook Islands. And she came in second, and she was the second runner-up. So I guess that means you're third. And she used that money to start Becky's Fund. So I want to welcome you. I'm pleased that you were able to get out and join me tonight on the show.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
So why, first of all, did you start Becky's Fund?
Sure. So my background is as a domestic violence attorney, and I've been working on this issue even before law school as an advocate. So sitting in the courtroom, helping survivors of domestic violence, both men and women. A lot of times, a lot of the issues that surround domestic violence is due to the fear and also even being able to reach out for help. When you're in an abusive relationship, often your abuser manipulates and creates just this sort of environment where you think you're alone. You're scared to reach out for help. You're scared that people won't believe you. You also keep hearing in your head, it's your fault. No one's going to hear your story. This is something that you're not going to be able to get support for. And seeing that, and also the facts show that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men in the United States is affected by domestic violence. And that's what's reported. And seeing the statistics, I realized that there was really a need for prevention and education work. Often what happens is that, again, people don't reach out for support because they don't even realize they're in this abusive relationship. You know, the movies, the television, music, a lot of times what we see in the news, we see the broken nose or the black eye. But verbal and the emotional abuse that happens, often that's the starting of the cycle, often you don't even talk about that. And so I don't think people often know that they're in an abusive relationship. And seeing those signs and seeing that it was such a large prevalence of this issue in our community, I really wanted to do more than just be an advocate or a domestic violence attorney. And so with the show and the money from the show in 2006, I created the nonprofit Becky's Fund.
So is the domestic violence becoming more widely acknowledged? I mean, the last couple of months, for example, with the NFL players in that horrible film of Ray Rice hitting his wife unconscious, or I guess his fiancée at the time, unconscious in the elevator. And I saw this afternoon there was a report of a couple of other NFL wives who said they felt intimidated by the structure of the teams and how closed it was, and you weren't supposed to talk about it. Does that kind of publicity help folks in your type of work to sort of raise that awareness?
So twofold. So I've been working with a lot of athletes' wives and girlfriends over the last almost 5 years. Everyone thought that the excitement of having Goodell, Roger Goodell, who's the commissioner of the NFL, having him sort of push out this new policy after the Rice situation, saying that for the first offense it would be at least 6 games and the second offense being lifetime ban. So around the country, domestic violence advocates sort of at that first reaction, we are very, very happy to see more accountability for the crime. However, it actually hurts a lot of these women to come forward even more so because in their mind they see Janae Rice and how she was shunned by so many people in the country saying, well, you stayed with your man. A lot of the, again, victim blaming, saying, well, if it's that bad, why did you go back? And so the women that I've been working with, even that Friday when the policy came out, that weekend with players that I know in this own city, calls were being made to me saying we need to support. They're not going to go to the police. They're even more afraid to go to the police because now the risks are so much higher. If that person loses his job, livelihood, and a lot of times these women, get into these relationships at a very much younger age, maybe in high school or college, and they make that sort of commitment. I'm going to stay by him. I know that there's going to be rough road ahead of us. I filmed with ESPN's Outside the Lines about 4 months ago. It aired recently, and the segment was talking about domestic violence in NFL. We interviewed over 35 women over the United States who were either in abusive relationships or currently in these relationships with players, and asking someone to come forward on the show, even if we hid their face and changed their voice, to speak out about the difficulty of being in a situation, because often there's very little support. Their husband, their boyfriend's not, obviously scaring them and saying, don't report this. And then he's being surrounded by yes people his whole life, right? His friends, his family members, they're also being paid with, the money that he's making by being an athlete. So she feels very alone and very, very isolated, as well as she's very scared to do anything. And so seeing that, it's really, I think, elevated the issue about understanding why people stay in these abusive relationships, why they go back. But at the same time, too, like you mentioned, to me, awareness is so important. And to find that one person that says, regardless if that person comes from money or socioeconomic level the same as me or background, at least I understand I'm not alone. I think that's one of the biggest pieces that video showed United States, that this is an issue that's happening across the board. Right. Domestic violence does not discriminate. Affects both men and women, affects people that are, highly educated, affects people from all over the country, and this is an issue that we have to work on together as a community.
Well, it sounds like it's a difficult way to figure out how to handle it, because as you say now that it sounded great, you're going to have all of these penalties, but yet it's so stringent that it does sort of intimidate people from wanting to.
And I think a big piece of that, just seeing how the policy that came out was very, almost like a knee-jerk reaction. So I think a lot of people were calling for Goodell's head.
Oh yes.
And so a lot of the big women's rights groups were saying this is ridiculous. How is he still in power? And then I think him then moving back and saying, okay, here are the domestic violence advocates and leaders that I'm working with now to sort of reevaluate this policy. I mean, how do you compare Adrian Peterson with Ray Rice? Right. They're pretty different sort of scenarios and situations, but I think at least the efforts being made now, knowing that this is an issue that affects these players, but also people in the United States, and then seeing what can we do moving forward.
Now, does Becky's fund focus on athletes type people, or is it a broader clientele?
Sure. So our three main areas, obviously, with education, and we work with young women in our Becoming Your Own Heroine program. These women are as young as 9 years old up to 18. We teach them everything from self-esteem and understanding what identity is, being happy in your own self without having to have a boyfriend or a partner. We also teach self-defense, so building up their belief system. With our boys, we actually work with high school athletic teams. So our program called Men of Code that we received funding from the Office of Violence Against Women 2 years ago. And so that's the program that we highlighted with ESPN, showing that we can break this cycle, but we have to talk about this at an earlier age. I think often we have sort of ideas about, you don't talk about relationships until you're of a certain age, maybe college or maybe after high school. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand what a healthy relationship looks like, maybe the fact that you saw it growing up, but at the same time too understanding, well, how do we break this cycle at that young age is really important.
Right. Well, and that is because a lot of people say what you grow up with, that becomes the norm.
Your reality.
And somebody needs to sort of intervene in that to say, no, that isn't, you don't have to put up with this, or you don't have to be this way. Yeah. And that's an important kind of break in the chain.
And I think often as teenagers, even children, we often aren't given that safe space to talk about these issues. When we've been going into these high schools and middle schools, even colleges, and even asking these young men, tell me what you're seeing, tell me what you need support with. Today's technology and social media, we put everything out there.
Right.
But then at the same time, on the flip end, it's so easy to stalk and to keep tabs on your partner, and to also find out who they're hanging out with, what they're doing. And so with the technology change, we need increases in also how to protect yourself.
Okay. Now, so in terms of the work that you're doing, you've got the education program with the young kids and the girls and the boys. So do you also keep educating all the way up the spectrum? What other kinds of programs does
So we
Becky's
work
Fund have?
colleges all across the U.S.
Okay.
Work specifically with fraternities and sororities. I also go into even corporations. A lot of times HR manuals and even the policy at work in workforces don't have anything in their book about what happens if you're in a relationship that goes sour in the workforce. And so, I mean, women have called me saying they're putting me on a different floor than my abuser, and then I have to basically run out to the parking lot, try to get in my car before he can see that I'm coming off the elevator. So things like that where they seem like so silly and so like obvious that there needs to be more support in talking about this issue. But I think again, we still consider domestic violence as a private issue.
Right.
It happens behind closed doors in the bedroom. But the fact of the matter is that if it's affecting that many people, often your workplace or where you're with your friends or where you're doing your other business, those are all places where often abusers will go to manipulate or to cause fear.
Well, you also mentioned there's the physical end of domestic abuse, but there's also the emotional and the verbal. Does that always lead to the physical, or are those discrete types of abuse that stand alone?
So often when we talk about the cycle of abuse, we talk about it starting the little nitpicking, the little breaking somebody down, being very just condescending, breaking down the person's self-esteem, making that person sort of having self-doubt about what they're doing that's right or if it's hurting that person. Every relationship is different. When we talk about even getting a protection order in court, often judges will say, well, show me the physical abuse that I can prove that you're in danger, and often those are the hardest cases to prove that there hasn't been physical abuse, but the stalking behavior, the emotional abuse often then leads to that physical level. So every relationship is different, but often even the threat, you have a threat to kill somebody, that's a felony. Right. And so I think the verbal abuse is often the most debilitating to somebody because it breaks you down, and at least physical bruises, those heal. Right. But the mental bruises, when you meet somebody who you see them go into the same bad relationship, you realize they have such low self-esteem where it started from somewhere, whether it's at home or with that bad relationship in the past. And so one of the things we always talk about is you never judge a book by its cover. You realize have to learn the facts, but also listen carefully when you see somebody that's in this relationship that might be abusive. Ask questions to show them you care. One of the things people often ask me is, I know somebody's in an abusive relationship, but I don't know what to do.
Right.
And so I often say, well, the most important thing is to listen and to show them that you're unconditionally going to be there for them as a friend, as a family member. Often when you see abuse happening, and we often walk past because it's uncomfortable to ask a question like, can I get involved? What's going on? There was a show on ABC years ago called What Would You Do? Mm-hmm. And they had couples fighting, and they were set up like actors, and had people walk by who they were taping to see what they would do. And only one woman out of the whole group of people that were interviewed and sort of taped stopped and said, "Is everything okay?" So it's out of our comfort level, obviously, and that's what we teach these young men, these young women, even people in our workshops, saying that even to ask the questions, "Everything okay?" Right. Even that is sort of startling, especially to the abuser, because when you don't say anything, you don't do anything, you're telling that abuser it's okay to continue acting like that way.
Well, I want to thank you for coming. Why don't you give us your website so everyone can find you?
So more information about volunteering as well as our upcoming events, you can go to www.beckysfund.org.
Terrific. I want to thank you for coming. I know you came all the way out from DC to do this.
Thank you for
having me.
And
I appreciate you coming on a very important topic.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.